Terwilleger here, and I wanted to share a quick story with you about a very dear friend of mine, someone I respect tremendously as a man, a human being, and perhaps most importantly, as a coach, as a mentor. Glenn Haddam, the author of Amplify. And if you have an opportunity, this is a book that you have to read because Glenn's experience that he brings to the book, that he brings to his coaching processes, are absolutely invaluable. Glenn and I first met several years ago when my wife and I were hosting our very first Experience the Leap breakthrough coaching process. It was a mastermind held in Breckenridge, Colorado. And we had, I guess it was about a dozen people or so from all over the world come to take part in this mastermind. And Glenn lived here in Colorado, and we had met briefly because he was involved in the fitness community as I was, and had already written his first book, which was tremendous. And Glenn was one of our last, the last person to kind of join the group, you might say. And we really didn't know if we had room at this point, because number one, he's a big guy. But number two, we only wanted to keep this very intimate. But what it turned out to be was a tremendous blessing. Glenn brought with him not only the energy and not only the focus that we wanted from our entire mastermind group, but he brought something more. He contributed his spirit. He contributed his experience. He contributed his knowledges. When we wanted to lead every morning with a get up and go energy piece, he volunteered to do it. He volunteered to lead us through exercise every single morning for those 4 or 5 days. We would get up, he'd energize our body through not only the exercises, but through his voice, through his timbre, through his energy, through his enthusiasm. And he got every single person going. Even the most unfit in the group felt energized after those warm-ups in the morning. But then we did a breakthrough, one of our second breakthroughs, which was a long bike ride through many different passes in Colorado. And if you know Colorado, you've got 3,500, you've got 10,000 foot, you've got all these passes that are very high, very steep. Well, this one was from Breckenridge to Vail. 12 of us set out that morning. Only 3 of us made it back. Now, everyone survived, made it back alive. I don't want to think that we would push anyone to that limit, although we got close. But most people along the way either had to turn around or stop and head back about halfway through. Some made it 3/4 of the way through. But it was myself, Glenn, and an experienced mountain biker who made it all the way to the Vail Pass and then back again. And I'm telling you, it was one of those tough experiences for me as an athlete. It was extremely tough. But the thing that I remember most, and that is so important in the Amplify training that he teaches and shares through his book, is that sometimes we lead and sometimes we follow. And there were times during that tough ride that I was leading and encouraging and pushing, and other times I fell behind and I had to coast while Glenn led, while he took the lead and said, let's go, we can do this, even when we didn't know we could do it. We weren't quite sure. The fact is, we didn't really make it all the way back to the cabin that day. We fell short by about a mile. And now it just so happens where we did fall short, where we finally ended, happened to be in front of this delicious ice cream store. Coincidence? Maybe. But anyway, Glenn is one of those guys, one of those coaches, one of those human beings that if you happen to have the pleasure of meeting and the honor of spending time with, I encourage you to do so. But the closest thing you might get at the moment would be to read the book, to embrace the coaching, be part of this Amplify process, because I guarantee you it will elevate, it will amplify your business, your life, your relationship, and even your spirit. I encourage you to do that. Hey, I'm Tom Terwilleger, former Mr. America and ageless mind-body coach, and I hope you'll join this process of changing your life forever. I'll talk to you soon.